Good morning and welcome to ICA's Accelerator Pitch Event. Thank you for everyone for holding tight while we manage through our technical difficulties. We will get started here. My name is Karan Gupta-Howard, Strategic Program Manager here at ICA and the MC for today's event. Before we get started, an overview of today, I would like to introduce our CEO, Allison Kelly, to share more about ICA.
Thank you, Karan. There. I think I did all the right protocol pieces. Good morning. I'm Allison Kelly. I'm the CEO of ICA. And boy, does it feel good to be back in this space. Thank you for being here with us today and sharing in our virtual, live, a little tricky here, we got this, pitch event. At ICA, we accelerate great businesses through mentoring and investments to close the racial and gender wealth gaps. And at the beginning of this pandemic, we had many folks from our community reach out and ask, are you going to need to change your strategy? Wondering whether or not we needed to refine our mission. And in fact, I'm proud to say that our work throughout this year has been more relevant today than it even was in the past. And so, you know, we continue to do this work. We continue to support these incredible entrepreneurs. And in this year in 2020, we actually supported over 70 businesses through our programs. We launched a new rapid response liquidity fund where we deployed over $1.2 million to 26 companies throughout the Bay Area. Those businesses represented over 250 jobs right here in our own community. These businesses are run by women and people of color. 56% of the businesses that we invested in are women-led. And 73% are people of color. Together, collectively, a full 88% of the businesses that we supported through our Rapid Response Liquidity Fund are women or people of color. And this makes a difference. This makes more representation in the support and the resources that are going to the companies that we aim to support. So we thank you for being in here and continuing to support our work. Next year, in the year 2021, we plan to continue to build off of this success and track record. We are going to start deploying our $10 million of growth capital that we have lined up for the businesses in our community. We're going to be continuing to cultivate new partners and raise up the voices of other folks in our communities and other partnerships that we want to secure and strengthen. And we're going to continue to listen. We're going to listen to the businesses that we serve, the communities that we serve, and we're going to continue to co-create the future that we all want with a more resilient community. Today, I really want to thank the companies that are here, going to pitch today. It takes courage to get on a stage in front of a microphone, but also it takes incredible perseverance and integrity to continue day after day to address and face the challenges that go along with running a business. And you inspire us. You inspire me, and you inspire all of us at ICA. So thank you for being here and taking a chance with us. I also want to thank Diana Tremblay, our Chief Programs Officer, to thank her and her team and Karan and everybody who's put this event together and continues to lead and inspire us. Every day we get to work alongside these folks, and we're so grateful to do it. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Diana.
Hi everyone. As Allison mentioned, I'm Diana Tremblay, the Chief Program Officer at ICA. And before we get started, I wanted to share a couple of thank yous. So I want to first thank our funders who make our work incredibly possible. Without you, we wouldn't be able to support the companies we do through our Accelerator. And I also want to thank our partners like Evolve Oakland, who gave us this space to really be able to have a pitch event live and in a safe environment. And I really also want to support and thank our entrepreneurs who, if you got an early bird ticket with a VIP pack, you got all kinds of awesome treats. So thank you to our entrepreneurs who are able to support that. And I also want to give a thanks to the folks who make the Accelerator happen. So Karan for managing this cohort while our colleague Hannah was out on maternity leave. Hannah for really setting up the cohort so we can just dive in and go. And our workshop facilitators, Willis Wilson, Greg Nielsen, Ariana Wolf, and Martha Hernandez. And also our strategic advisors who work directly with the companies, Rob Hurlbut, Martha Hernandez, Martha Belcher, Tim Coyer, Mike Jones, and Mindy Christensen. So let me tell you a little bit about the Accelerator and what the companies did. They spent 4 months really going through their growth strategy, their people strategy, their capital strategy, and being ready to take on investment. And really our goal is that we prepare companies through all those ways I just mentioned to really be ready to go out and pitch for funding after we finish our cohort. And what today's culmination, we now have over 30 companies in our ICA Accelerator cohort for alumni that employ over 400 people and have collectively raised $22 million. So I want to give you a sneak peek of the companies that are going to be pitching. You'll be able to hear from their CEOs quickly. Global Grub, The DeMel, Nyam Bai, Brundo Spices, Renewal Mill, Smoke Berkeley, and Don Boquito. So I'm going to take it from here and I'm going to give it back to Karan. Thanks.
Thank you, Allison and Diana. Today you'll be hearing from those 7 amazing companies affectionately known to us as Cohort 6 or C6 of the ICA Accelerator. After each pitch, you will hear from 2 feedback panelists. Today we have Tim Quade, Principal at Canoa Ventures, joining us, and our very own Chief Investment Officer, John Goff. In addition to the feedback panelists, you will be able to provide your feedback to the folks pitching today. After each pitch or during their pitch, you will see a link populated in the chat. Feel free to fill that out to give feedback, or if you wish to be in contact with the entrepreneur post the event, we're happy to facilitate that. So let's get started. First to the stage, we will start with Global Grub.
Hi. Is the deck going to change? Yeah. Great. Hi there. My name is Carly. I'm the founder, CEO, janitor, and everything in between for my company, Global Grub. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit about my business with you. Let's jump right in. Starting with the problems. Now more than ever, home cooks are craving new experiences to enjoy in the kitchen with others, but it often takes too much time to venture out globally. And that's where we come in with our DIY cooking kits that set home cooks up for success as they explore the culinary world and really create positive cooking adventure memories. So how does it work? Our kits come with unique shelf-stable ingredients and key cooking tools. There's a shopping list on each kit, so you can get basic ingredients like sugar that you might already have in your cabinet or ice cream that you can readily get at the grocery store. We also have step-by-step instructions as well as cooking videos on our website. What we're ultimately selling is new cooking adventures. So our kits are really a platform to create these amazing experiences at home. So our kits are great for date nights, dinner parties, family fun, and they do exceptionally well as gifts. So we currently have 5 different SKUs. Our best seller is our DIY mochi kit, mochi ice cream kit. We also just launched a DIY fortune cookie kit. One of our other best sellers is a ravioli kit and a tamale kit. So a little bit about our key accomplishments over the years. We launched in 2012. It's been a thrilling roller coaster ride ever since then. So you can see we've had a lot of different great partners, different channels. We really found that our sweet spot is in gift. In 2018, we pivoted in that direction, and we've had tremendous growth since then. So a little bit about the market. If you look at the meal kit market size, it's projected to be about $5 billion. If you look at more of the niche meal kit market, that's estimated to be around $900 million. And if you look at our market share, we believe conservatively we can get to $5 million in the next 3 years. So a little bit about our consumer. Our demographic is women 25 to 44. This summer we had a great opportunity to do some in-depth interviews with a lot of our customers, and what we heard over and over again is they really value experiences over things, and they really see cooking as a way to do something with those that they love. So when you look at the competitive landscape, where our point of difference really is not only do we have unique ingredients, unique tools, but our kits are really customizable so you can make it your own. As far as our competitive advantage, we're really about simplifying the art of making handcrafted specialties. So these are extraordinary meals and treats. Because these are different things that I actually want to learn the technique, really get hands-on, get creative, and make it your own. So a little bit about our business model. You'll see here that we are predominantly wholesale. Our biggest customers are Uncommon Goods and Williams-Sonoma. You'll see on the other side here, we have direct-to-consumer with our website, globalgrub.com, as well as Amazon. These are currently very small parts of our business, but we'd like to really focus on that. There's a lot of opportunity to really grow that side. So a little bit about our growth strategy. Our objective is to become a leader in the specialized DIY meal kit category. So quickly broke it into 4 steps here. First is marketing. To date, we've spent close to $0 on advertising. So there's a huge opportunity to really beef up our marketing and really get the Global Grub name out there. Secondly, I just talked about a little bit about distribution. So really focusing with the wholesale route, that's been going really successful, but also really focusing on direct-to-consumer. Innovation, definitely my favorite part of the business. Lots of ideas to come out with additional kits. So we'll be launching a few kits each year, and then also starting to think about a pipeline for a brand extension. And then lastly, from a team perspective, I don't have any employees yet, but would love to build out a team to really take the business to the next level. So starting with operations, moving into marketing, and then sales. So a little bit about our financials. If you look at the last 8 years, year-over-year growth is an average of 174%. If you look at just the last 3 years, we've been able to double or triple business, with 2012 really being a tremendous year for us, and just seeing a ton of opportunity moving forward as well. So how are we going to achieve this growth? We're looking for support so that we can do more hiring, working capital, marketing, and then innovation. So if you want to take a bite out of the meal kit industry with me, let's talk. I'd love to get in touch. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Back.
Carly, and I love the business model. I love how you set up the problem you are trying to solve and identify the solution. That came through really clearly. And I love the key accomplishment slide where you have that timeline. I think that was a super powerful slide and really helped tell your story. I'm curious, you talked about the consumer and experiences over things. Do you think you could give during the presentation maybe a quick personal story from a consumer that makes it super relatable, that tells the story and defines that solution to the problem maybe in a bit more detail?
Oh yeah, I like that.
I don't know if you have something in mind, but that's something that you could consider doing just to continue to make the business relatable from a consumer perspective.
Sure.
All right, Carly, loved it. I love kind of the intersection that you're honing in on between, travel maybe on one axis and the desire, the wanderlust that all of us have been developing, particularly over the pandemic period. Desire to create kind of family memories, and then the whole kind of tailwind behind home cooking and meal kit experiences. Obviously even pre-pandemic, but throughout pandemic, and of course post-pandemic, not to make everything about the pandemic, but when we talk about growth, obviously I think that D2C piece or the delivery piece or the, that's going to become increasingly important. So maybe flesh that out a little bit. Obviously that was in the presentation, that is part of the strategic growth strategy, but what does that actually look like? How do you acquire that user? How do you retain that user? How do you grow that slice of the market and that experience, right? And make sure that experience, because obviously that presents challenges unique to that channel, right? So maybe just flesh that out a little bit. But,
Okay.
Yeah, loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have the Damel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Omar Diouf, and I am from Senegal. I started cooking since I was 13 years old, helping my mom taking care of my 5 siblings. And a few years later, I moved to Argentina in order to become a soccer player so I can help my mom lift her burden working several jobs. And being in Argentina after culinary school, I went to open my first restaurant in 2008 and had also a daily lunch program that I developed for the immigrants that was living in that area. So since my goal was to learn about how how food is influenced African food is influenced in the worldwide gastronomy, I decided to move to Brazil. And right away, I started a catering company called Top Chef. And I proudly led a kitchen team that was cooking for the Olympics in 2016 and also the Soccer World Cup in 2014. After that, I moved to the United States, where I start now a new culinary journey where I'm sharing my background and the highlight of my cooking history, my travels, my language, and my culture. And this is a culture that has been spread out all around the world after the slavery. And Brazil today holds the highest percentage of Africans and African culture outside of the continent. And the Damel is here today to be the protagonist of our own history. So we are here to share the legacy of the African food and Afro-Brazilian food. So Afro-Brazilian food is a fusion of West African and South American food. And our menu feature the most famous street Senegalese food called dibi and beignet, and also the authentic Brazilian muqueca and acarajé. We also have a wide variety of fresh food and beverage, but most importantly, our must-try is the Argentinian empanadas, that we have a wide flavors of inside in it, and it's very scalable. So if you wonder where to get this, well, we have a very scalable catering company with a dynamic event program, and that's since 2017. And since last year, we started Damel, a brick-and-mortar location in downtown Oakland. And this year, we launched a food truck and a frozen empanadas. And as I am speaking today, we are starting a ghost kitchen in San Francisco. So we are competing in the huge market opportunities here, from the fast casual industry, from the counter service restaurant or the empanada industry, or even the high trend of ethnic food in the United States. So our goal is to open 10 locations by 2022. And those locations can be anything from restaurant, ghost kitchen, food truck, kiosk in a mall, or a stadium, or anywhere. And most importantly, we're going to focus to track our numbers, and we're going to scale only these locations that make more sense for our business. We are today also building a central kitchen in Alameda, where we're going to have our productions to be delivered to different locations. So year to date, thanks God, we are profitable. We are making over $500,000 this year alone, and we are projected to make $870K by 2021, and $1.04 million by 2022, and $1.2 million by 2023. So our core value at the Damel is to commit to always meet the customer need with a fair price and accessible to all social levels. But most importantly, we love creating jobs, and we also love to support the local food industry. And the most important also is that we work hard to get a defined return to our investment. So beyond the social mission we have the mission to connect global flavor to local people. And we just started the Damel Foundation, a social mission that's already helping in Senegal, children stay-at-home moms, and also young people enter in the culinary world. So we get amazing feedback from our customers. We also get a press, worldwide press. I would say nationwide press. So thank you everyone, and I am here to answer any question. And if you guys want to learn more about our business, just go to our website, thedamel.com. Thank you.
Omar, I really like the mission-driven purpose that you explained, and you took us on a culinary journey from Senegal to Argentina to Brazil, and that was fun to go on that journey with you as you were talking. You make the kind of the African and Brazilian history and culture almost a part of the food. So I thought that was really, really cool and an interesting part of the presentation. I'm a little bit curious, so on your business model, you went through quite a few revenue models, and they were very diverse. And I'm curious to understand that a bit more. And you went through ghost kitchen and catering and retail. What's going to be the priority? And with that priority, what do the margins look like in that revenue model? I think it would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think by today we can actually say that we already know our priority. If you see in the deck, I highlighted two of them. So which is the food truck model and the catering model. Because we start everything because we wanted to make sure we know which of them is most profitable for us and which of them also has less overhead expenses.
Yes.
And are more scalable.
Yes.
So I think that's why we kind of like wanted to be in different model that the restaurant industry has, so we can see which one we're going to be scaling.
I think that's great, because not all revenue streams have the same value to the bottom line. They don't have all the same margins.
Exactly.
So to explain that a bit more and why you're prioritizing food truck and catering, I think.
So it's basically of the scalable part of it.
Yes.
Because if you see the food, the catering is very scalable. We have food that travel very well.
Yes.
And we also have like food that can be very easy to just set up somewhere else and just take it to somewhere else. And the food truck is because since we started, it's actually making 3 times more our brick and mortar location. So I think that's something that we want to keep track to, and we want to keep scaling. And also it has very less overhead expenses compared to the restaurant business. The same thing with the ghost kitchen that we just started. Actually, as I'm speaking now, we're launching it today in San Francisco.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And we are tracked also to make the same amount of money that we are making in the food truck. But so far today, I think the food truck is the most profitable restaurant model we have, and also the catering.
Okay.
After everything goes away, like the pandemic.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Omar, awesome. And I could probably say this about everybody pitching today, but the great thing about food, right, is that it's the most natural, honest extension of telling a human story. And I definitely think, John's point that, you telling your own story behind the food that you're creating is absolutely critical, and that's something that people can buy into and get excited about. Again, to kind of echo what John said, full disclosure, I was Umar's advisor during the process, but this is something we talked about before, but again, what John was saying about, the wide variety of different kind of growth opportunities that you present, your response to John just now is perfect, and I think you just got to own the thesis that you have and be very, very explicit about, here's where we are, here's where we want to get to, and this is the very next most important step to get to that point, right? And this is absolutely what we're prioritizing, because people want to know that you have confidence in the thesis that you're using to drive your growth, right? So, but really, really awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. And next up, we have Niam Bai.
owner of Nham Bai, a Cambodian restaurant out in Fruitvale. The idea of Nham Bai came to me, it was a dream, but it was an epiphany where I had, when I was in Cambodia, I had a bowl of noodle soup, and then I just realized that Cambodia was such an underrepresented culture and cuisine, just tainted by war and genocide, and I wanted to bring back the beauty of Cambodia back to the States. And so in 2016, I decided just to open up a Cambodian restaurant. And in 2018, I opened the brick and mortar. Here you can see the dining room. It's inspired by the golden era of Cambodia from the 50s and 60s. My parents often talk about this time, this carefree, good time. And when the customer come in, I want them to be able to experience that. And there's always Cambodian 50s, 60s rock and roll music playing in the background. As you can see here, just going back in time, I started out doing farmers market back in 2016, and then did catering at the same time. And in 2017, I had this opportunity to do a pop-up at the public market in Emeryville, and that gave me an opportunity just to test out my market. And in 2018, I opened up the Fruitvale location. First year, we were able to generate 50K revenue, and in 2019, the growth doubled. You can follow us on our journey. We've been recognized by Time Magazine as 100 most influential place to go, Bon Appetit top 10 new restaurant, Food and Wine best new chef, best new restaurant. So these are just some of the quotes from the writings that we had. This is a closer look at our revenue since we've opened. 2017 going up to 2019, you can see that the revenue has doubled throughout the years. As of right now, things are quite different since the pandemic. We were closed for a few months, but we are now open back up for takeout and delivery. It's a slow trickle, but we've been able to gain momentum where each month we're gaining at least over 10K each month, seeing our regular customers. So what's next for Nham Bai is an expansion to New Orleans, just like the epiphany I had in Cambodia. When I went out there 4 years ago, I had this vision of a Cambodian diner in the corner of the Garden District in New Orleans. I saw, customers sitting in a booth type settings, listening to Cambodian rock and roll music, while enjoying Cambodian soul food, like savory breakfast porridge, noodle soups. And the timeline to 2021, my goal is to go out there to look for space, connect with other chefs there, also to test out the market by doing pop-ups. Some of the competitive advantages I have out there is a unique dining experience. We'll be the first Cambodian restaurant out in New Orleans, just the Cambodian soul food flavors mixed with Cajun. Our competitors out there ranges from Southeast Asian restaurants to Michelin James Beard winning award restaurants. All of them are pretty much busy. Here I did a research on tourism in New Orleans. About $2.1 billion was spent on just the restaurant industry in 2018. And that's it. This is giving a shout out to my team that's been through everything with me since then. And thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Oh, sure. All right, switching it up. Knight, that was awesome. The first thing that strikes me is how aesthetically pleasing your restaurant is. And so obviously brand and identity are very, very important to you. And I think the branding, you nailed it. You've captured a period of time. You've captured a place. You've captured, obviously, the cuisine. And so, yeah, looks beautiful. I saw on the slide with the expansion to New Orleans, the idea is to have, it would be called Lunette. It'd be different. So my question is, when you think about your identity, obviously identity is very, very important to you. When you think of your identity as a restaurant, and then pair that with your growth trajectory, like what is the restaurant or what is the business, 5 years, 10 years down the road? Is it a series of unique, high-end dining experiences, or what is the kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously brand is very, very important to you. So what is that brand moving forward, right?
Even though Lunette, the location in New Orleans is different, it still carries the essence of Nham Bai, which is sharing Cambodian culture through its cuisine, celebrating the good times. So it's still going to be in sync with all the different locations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you see this? Do you see this expanding to all major metropolitan regions in the country, or what's kind of the?
No, I think at this moment it's just an expansion to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I really like the picture of the restaurant early in your slide deck. That evoked for me an image, and also when the sound of the 50s and 60s rock and roll music, it makes me want to go there and have that experiential time in the restaurant. So I think that visual and talking about what that experience is like with the Khmer Golden Era, and maybe even expanding on that and talk about the art or the culture of that era. And it ties back to your family, and I think it is the real focus of the restaurant and why you created the restaurant in the first place. So I would encourage you to keep going with that. There was a ton of focus on New Orleans, and I think that's great because you're passionate. New Orleans is a very cool town. You're passionate about opening a restaurant there. But we also need to hear about the success of the Bay Area. And I would, based on your legacy and everything else, I would make sure that that is firmly in place in potential investors' minds, and then move on to the future of New Orleans. Is that,
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Knight. And if anyone, we've now heard from 3 companies. I would like to take the opportunity to tell people to click that link. That should be in the chat, and give your feedback alongside our panelists who are giving their feedback today. Next up, you will hear from Brundo Spice Company.
Hi, my name is Arar Yeshwas, and I'm here on behalf of Brundo Spice Company, a premier Ethiopian spice and herb importing company. About us, we're importing spices and herbs from Mojo, Ethiopia, our processing plant, which is a picture above. We're a family-based organization that's been running food-based specialty food businesses in Oakland since 1991, our flagship restaurant being Cafe Colucci in North Oakland. About 4 years ago, after 25 years of running the restaurant, we realized our food is being impacted by not having direct source of spices and herbs from Ethiopia. And then furthermore, we realized that Africa, the world's second largest continent, actually has little to no shelf presence in the culinary world. You can see here a lot of Africa's exports, none of which are food. Some coffee and tea in East Africa. Just like coffee and tea is good in East Africa, so are spices and herbs due to the high altitude. And there's a market there, and there's 800 Ethiopian restaurants in the US, 60 in the Bay Area. People have to go to restaurants to get this food because they can't cook it at home. And now more than ever, 82% of the meals Americans eat are prepared at home, much larger percentage than the year before. So we started off as a B2B business, importing spices for a restaurant, realized that there's a large amount of chefs, home chefs that want to cook also at home, so it began shifting into a B2C business. So what exactly do? We bring authentic spices and herbs straight to you from the source. These are pictures from our processing plant in Mojo, Ethiopia, where we grow the herbs, we grow the spices, we process them, we blend them, we mix them. We ship them from there to our fulfillment center in West Oakland, where we have a staff there that fulfills, packages, and sends out all of the spices. We employ 43 people year-round between the Ethiopia operation and the US operation. This year we imported 15,000 pounds of product into West Oakland. We sell it at our brick and mortar, which is right next to Cafe Colucci in North Oakland, as well as an ever-emerging online business. For the last 3 years, we have now shifted the focus from our restaurant to Bruno Spices in the storefront. We have a very solid supply chain that we own the entire way, from processing, making, packaging, to shipping it here and sending it out here. We have the ability to be large scale, and we have a B2B and a B2C business, and we're currently profitable. It's a picture of myself packaging in our West Oakland warehouse. So what our numbers look like. The blue line is our revenue month over month in 2019, when we were largely a B2B business. Around October 2019, we switched from B2B to B2C, and you can start seeing some of the growth there, a lot of which was on the onset of COVID-19. A lot of people were at home. We had a slight dip in Q3 because we had some supply issues, just struggling with the growth, and we're set back to increase about 3 times what we were doing the year before, continue to look that way into 2021 as well. And then on the left, that's what 15,000 pounds of spices look like in our West Oakland facility. So how exactly are we doing it? One, strategic partnerships. We bring the raw spices and herbs to cooks, to people, and we work with other companies to make some of the products there. We work with a company in Portland to make the first shelf-stable Ethiopian ghee, which is used in a lot of businesses. We work with a chain of cafes in Seattle that use some of our products to make different kind of specialty drinks. We're still using the restaurant Cafe Colucci as a proof of concept. We highlight new dishes, new ways to use the spices and herbs, putting Brundo as the forefront there. And we're growing our digital sales channels by selling through more and more platforms. Pretty lean team. My beautiful aunt and myself, she founded the restaurant as well as the company, and then I run most of the operations in the US. She's mostly based in Ethiopia. So opportunity here. We're the first large-scale Ethiopian spice importing company. We have deep knowledge of the food and the Ethiopian operation of the world. We're on the ground there. We come largely from an agricultural part of Ethiopia, about an hour outside the capital, which is where the processing plant is in Mojo, Ethiopia. We own the plant, we own the supply chain, and we're increasing sales month over month. Thank you very much. Please reach out.
Okay. Awesome. And I've been to the cafe. It's delicious. So it's great to meet the family that owns it. I love the story again. You know, running through all these stories of food and ethnic food and kind of getting back to roots. And I love that story, and I love kind of the growth trajectory that you're on, and the very kind of rational path from B2B to B2C. So you never really specified in the presentation how many spices or SKUs or how many different varieties or whatever are you guys actually trading right now or importing right now?
Yeah, it's a bit ever-changing. We currently have 27 SKUs. Of that, there's 6 proprietary blends that we make ourselves that are specialty blends. There's about 8 that are more traditional blends that are used kind of throughout, and then the rest are just different single-origin herbs and spices. It's just kind of ever-changing. We're trying to focus more on the kind of proprietary spices and blends.
Yeah.
But it's just such a vast amount of things that are produced from that area. So a lot of times we have to self-correct and say, oh, we're doing too much. Let's reel it in a little bit.
And what the 15,000 pounds per year that you're importing, what does that represent in terms of the consumer or in terms of demand? Like, does that equate to, obviously we saw the revenue numbers up there, but how big is the market on kind of a unit basis? Like, how does that grow or scale? And are there constraints on, obviously you mentioned some supply hiccups and some of the things, like how stable, being a single source kind of importer, like how stable is that supply as you scale that?
Yeah, we're working on getting it more efficient as we go. In the beginning, we were bringing it over by boat, which took a bit of a lead time.
Yeah.
And then now, since we're selling so fast, we started doing it by air. So we essentially ran out of inventory because of the huge growth in Q2 of this year. And then I had to wait about 3 weeks for the new supply to get over by air. So now we're just better prepared for the high growth to come in. And so now we're sustaining it more and more. Our packaging goes from like 2 ounces to also 1 pound. So it's kind of hard to get the exact units what we sell, including the kind of B2B. Larger wholesale packages that we also sell out too. But yeah, now we're focusing on having kind of a more revolving door of inventory where we're selling out of stuff within 2 months, and then we've had the next order good to go.
But there's no real constraints to the growth of that supply, though, that you foresee? Like that 15,000 pounds per year could turn into X million pounds of, okay.
Yeah, now that we have an airlines that we're working with, and we have the kind of like shipping all that stuff dialed in, Now we're able to just churn out as much as we can. We can easily put it on an airplane. Ethiopian Airlines operates out of the US, or out of Ethiopia, and comes directly here. So now we have a pretty strong foothold.
Yeah, I love statistics and data, so I was really excited when you talked about 43 employees and 15,000 pounds of powder and spices coming in. I thought that was fantastic. I think relating it to the overall market, as Tim mentioned, would be a cool next step. I thought the blue versus red graph showing 19 versus 20, and the story you had of the change in the business model from B2B to B2C, I thought that was really well done. And I like the fact that you continue to have it open as a proof of concept. So I thought that was great. You know, this is a cross-border business and a cross-border focus. And I think focusing on Ethiopia and the problem you're trying to fight, which is to get shelf space. And I think it would be really cool to spend more time talking about how you break into that. How do you fight for that shelf space? And then maybe a success story there. Because I think that could really explode the revenue line and really make the business. So talking about that a little bit more would be interesting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. So we are 4 companies in, folks, and 2 things are clear. Make friends with ICA and make friends with our companies. You will be well fed. So next up, you will watch a pitch from Renewal Mill.
Renewal Mill is an... Hello everyone. It's such an honor to be a member of the 6th cohort of the ICA Accelerator. Such an honor to... Accelerator. My name is Claire Schlemme, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Renewal Mill. Renewal Mill is an award-winning upcycled food company. Premium ingredients and food loss. In short, we turn byproducts into delicious food. This could not be a more exciting time to be in the upcycled food space. The opportunity is massive, and reducing food waste has been identified. Everyone, it's such an honor to be a member of...
The pitch from Renewal Mill will be coming up shortly. In the meantime, please take this opportunity to click that link there in the chat to give the feedback to the 4 companies that you have seen thus far. First, we heard from Global Corrupt, then we heard from the Damel, on to Nyambai, and then just recently we heard from Brundo Spice Company. So please stay tuned for Renewal Mill coming up next.
As the #1 solution. It's such an honor to be a member of the 6th cohort of the ICA Accelerator. My name is Claire Schlemme, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Renewal Mill. Renewal Mill is an award-winning upcycled food company. We upcycle byproducts from food manufacturing into premium ingredients and products to fight climate change and global food loss. In short, we turn byproducts into delicious food. This could not be a more exciting time to be in the upcycled food space. The opportunity is massive, and reducing food waste has been identified as the #1 solution for mitigating climate change. We strategically produce our ingredients using a co-location model in which our equipment is used to dry and mill byproducts at the point of their production. This helps us keep costs down and control for food safety. And since we're solving a headache for food manufacturers, it also solidifies our relationship with the byproduct producers. Our flagship ingredient is okara flour, made from the soybean pulp or the okara generated during soy milk production. We also just made the first sale of our second upcycled ingredient, which is an upcycled oat milk flour made from the oat pulp produced when oat milk is made. Our first partner is Hodo Foods, a neighbor in West Oakland, and we have relationships in place to expand our supply of okara, oat pulp, and other byproducts we intend to use as our raw materials. We operate a dual sales model that takes advantage of the long sales cycle for ingredients. While we have been building our ingredient sales pipeline, we've been simultaneously creating a branded product arm. These products allow for rapid market entry of our novel ingredients. By providing opportunities for PR and brand awareness, they directly feed top of funnel for ingredient sales. We currently have 4 SKUs, and we're bringing an additional 3 products on in the next 2 months to expand our vegan, gluten-free, just add oil and water baking mix line. Renewal Mill's organic okara flour can already be found in multiple products, including chips, baby food, cookies, and tortillas. As these product lines grow, so too do our sales. Pulp Pantry just launched nationwide at Super Targets, and Tia Lupita's Okara tortilla quickly became a bestseller on Amazon. From these existing customers alone, we expect our sales to increase tenfold in 2021. And we have many more customers in the pipeline, excited to get on board with the upcycling trend. COVID catalyzed a pivot for us from food service to retail and e-commerce for our branded products. The pandemic has also brought greater attention to our food systems and the need for better environmental health. In the past 7 months, we've become a #1 new release on Amazon, launched in Whole Foods, Good Eggs, and Thrive Market, and acquired distribution through UNFI. Our business model drives direct impact. Upcycled ingredients make use of resources that would otherwise have gone to waste and therefore have lower carbon footprints than their traditional counterparts. We're so proud that to date, we've diverted over 100,000 pounds of nutrition back into our food supply chain. The flour market is massive, with its growth driven by alternative flours. Upcycled flours are really superior ingredients in this space because of their ability to deliver premium nutrition, often at lower costs. We are on our way to becoming a $30 million changemaker in the sustainable food space with support from leading natural and global food experts. We are a team of movers and shakers with a passion for finding value in the overlooked. Our product developer is a 5 times James Beard Award-winning cookbook author, and we count among our advisors the CEO of a national flour company, a world champion baker, and the director of the nation's largest food waste nonprofit. This is the year for upcycled food, and Renewal Mill is proud to be a leader in this space. This fall, our work was highlighted by PBS NewsHour, and we were named a 2021 top food trend by Whole Foods. And this could not come soon enough. By 2050, there will be 10 billion people on the planet, and feeding all these people won't be a matter of producing more food, but rather a matter of using the food we already produce more efficiently. And Renewal Mill is proud to be defining what it will mean to eat in a post-waste world. If you're interested in joining us on this journey, and we hope you are, we invite you to reach out. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. I think that was Claire speaking. Thank you so much, Claire, for the presentation. Gosh, I'm overwhelmed, to be honest. It was extremely professional. It was a sophisticated presentation, and it feels to me like the company is very far along in its business model and has done some deep thinking about revenue channels, marketing, and where you are within market share. Also, the mission-driven purpose of the company came through loud and clear. ingredients with the story was a powerful mix, and reducing food waste and upcycling became very clear to me in the presentation. One question I had is, you mentioned the dual sales model, and you mentioned 10x sales in 2021, and obviously growing by 10x is just massive growth. So maybe a little bit more details about what is the driver of the 10x sales, what is the highest priority for you with that type of growth, you know, financing and equity capital and factoring and other things on the financing side become more important. So what is your plan there? I think that's important. And then the second big question I had is you're so far along, what about competitors? How are you going to respond and compete with some of the big public companies? I think you're at a stage where you could start to think about that. Thank you.
Great, yeah, Claire, awesome. Been a big fan of Renewal Mill for a long time. And like John said, you know, the impact narrative comes out loud and clear. Big fan of upcycling and circular narratives there. I think you did a great job of kind of explaining the higher points there. Maybe something that could be fleshed out a little bit is, you know, little data points like the 100,000 pounds of nutrition being cycled back into the food chain, et cetera. How does the movement and how do those data points convert the customer, right? Like how does that correlate to your acquisition, retention, or conversion of the customer? And maybe some correlation there, so maybe some anecdotal examples of how that works. Because I think that's obviously with big movements like that, that's oftentimes the most important thing is the data can be pretty hard and fast, but you know, human beings, you know, they buy stories. So what's that story that's actually converting the customer? But really awesome.
Perfect. Thank you, Renewal Mill. Talking about being on the leading edge of innovation as it relates to food. We will keep it going. We have a few more companies. Next up, we will hear from Smoke Berkeley.
Hi folks, my name is Jed Reif. This is my wife, Chef Tina. We've been married for 40 years. And we're really happy to be here and appreciate this opportunity. What we do is cook real Texas barbecue, and we serve it in a setting where people can enjoy it and come together as family and community. Tina, tell us a little bit about how we got in this.
Back in 2008, I lost my job, and I put out probably 250 resumes and didn't get any response. And I had a pit in my backyard when I grew up. So I decided to hire myself and open Smoke Berkeley. One of my missions is to hire people that are less fortunate, coming out of correctional institutions, people with learning disabilities. And this really set me on a course when I worked for Rubicon in Oakland and I first came here. And this is where I started my mission.
Thank you, Tina. Our values are service, good food, and family. And, you know, we want to offer fresh food, authentic Texas barbecue, sides, and Tina's award-winning desserts. She won the State Fair of Texas Blue Ribbon. She's won multiple multiple cooking contests. And now we can bring it to people at an affordable price. And we've been doing that since 2011. And our current location, we got there a year and a half ago when we were gentrified out of our original location at San Pablo. In San Pablo, we had started out in San Pablo in 2012. Her first year, Tina did $200,000. By 3 years later, we were up to $400,000. In 2017, 2018, we were at $500,000. And then we started getting kicked out. Our landlord did everything he could to remove us from that building. We went to the city of Berkeley. They didn't want us to leave. They wanted us to stay. Everybody did. So we kept fighting. But finally, at the end, last July, we had to move. And we found a location at Spat's Bar, which is one of the oldest bars in downtown Berkeley. And they gave us a kitchen, but we need a restaurant. We need a restaurant where we can sit down with people and talk to them, where they can communicate directly with us, where we're not in a kitchen. And this makes a big difference in our direct sales. Plus, we have to have access to third-party delivery, and which has grown in our business 300% since the pandemic. Let me go back just to 2 slides. What we're looking at is buying an additional, getting a property and owning it ourselves instead of being dependent on landlords and elsewhere. And what we'd like to do is, and what we're looking at for our expansion, is to buy a bar restaurant that has bar capabilities with outdoor dining, and it's in West Berkeley, which is where our original location was. Keep the Spats Bar open this new location, but buy the property, and all along the San Pablo Transit Corridor, they're developing 1-floor commercial and 5 to 7-story residential. We want to own part of that business. We want to own the building so that we can stay there and know that we're not going to be kicked out again every 4 years, because every place we're at is being redeveloped, and it's Berkeley. And so if we're going to stay there and serve our community and keep the community alive, we need to do that and have some stability. So if we could do a partnership with a developer to where we're the anchor, where we operate for 3 to 5 years, run the business, and develop the plans for architectural site plans, get the permitting, which I've already gone through that once, putting in an ADA bathroom in Berkeley. It's a challenge, but it's doable. And have a property that we could redevelop after, and we would be the anchor tenant, and then we'd have other tenants there in the commercial and 4 to 5 stories of residential. We would like to own a small part of that. We would like to share that with anybody that wants to help us, and we're ready to move forward. We've actually found some properties that meet those qualifications that we're looking for in our original location. So we'd be doubling our business if we can move there. See, you can see our revenue stream here. You can see these ideas. We'd be glad to share this pitch deck with anybody that's interested. We have 4 other competitors. We line up 1, 2, 3, 4 with our mission statement in terms of family, in terms of hiring people and giving them second chances, and in terms of finding delivering fresh, healthy, good food.
And we won't arrest you for eating fresh vegetables.
With your barbecue. And we're also developing new products. We have a line of packaged foods that we'd like to be able to sell, and we also are developing some Tex-Mex menu items using the existing food that we have. The pulled pork we make, you just heat it another way, and you got carnitas. You put it on a taco, or you put it on a burrito, or you can make any different product out of that same thing. And we're seeing these are ways that we can build the business and make more money without doing a lot of different things.
It's called Texacue.
Texacue. And our team is our family. Chef Tina, she's this one there. Our son, Sean. Sean is right now flying back from New York at this moment. He has taken the company and revolutionized it since we've moved. He has 20 years in HR, and he's learned Texas barbecue, and him and Tina together are a fantastic team. And what I do is I make documentary films. I've been doing that for 45 years for public television, and I know administration, I know marketing, and I've been self-employed since I was 21. So that's what we all come together with to bring Smoke Berkeley. And if you want to find out more about it, come on and join us on our journey. We'd love to share. And come to Smoke Berkeley and try our food.
Yeah, come try our barbecue.
Tina, this way.
Oh.
Thank you, guys. Tina, wait. We got to get feedback.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm a big barbecue fan. I'm not from Texas, so I can't claim the full connoisseur status, but big fan of barbecue. And my family's actually been in Berkeley for 100 years, so I'm a big fan of anything in Berkeley. But yeah, so I love the story, and I love the model of kind of the second chance model for your employee base. I think at the end of the day, again, food is telling the human story, and a lot of that human story are the humans behind the counter making the food, right? If you look at other models, Berkeley models like the cheese board or something like that, right? It starts out as a little cheese shop. Obviously, they retain their customer base because the product at the end of the day, whether it's the bakery or the pizza side, is delicious. But the community aspect comes from the fact that people buy into the model. They buy into how the business is being operated, right? So I would actually love to hear more about the back end model that you guys are putting out there, right? Like we're employing X number of former incarcerated peoples or whatever, right? Like talking about that aspect of who's actually behind this barbecue and why does that make this barbecue so special and so unique compared to other places, right? Because I think particularly right now people are looking for that mission or that movement to buy into, and they want to be associated with brands or products that tell a story that they believe in, right?
Well, one of the hardest things to do is to bring someone that's been incarcerated for so many years. They've been told what to do this whole time. Mm-hmm. They don't even want to look you in your eyes. And when they smile, they don't mean it. And so when you go and you touch these people day after day, training, teaching them to call in when they're going to be late, call in when they're going to be sick. There's so many things that etiquette has not been blessed upon these people. This is a learned behavior, and this is what I try to do. I'm Mama T. All right, that's what everybody calls me. And when Mama T talks to you, it's kind of like your mama talking to you. And that's some ways that I'm able to penetrate that and not give up. A lot of them are not going to make it. Yep. I've got people coming from Quentin Cook's that is just an outstanding culinary program. But again, it's hard to break that barrier.
Yeah, so I would just say straight up in the presentation, be Mama T. I didn't hear Mama T in the presentation, but just be Mama T straight up in the presentation, right off the bat, you know what I mean, and tell people what's up. But I think that resonates, and I think that's important for your overall story.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mama T is a great way to self-identify. My favorite line, Tina, is when you said, I hired myself. I think that is super relatable. I think, especially in this COVID era where a lot of people have lost their job, to say you hired yourself is very entrepreneurial, and I think it will relate to a lot of people. Your mission in hiring relates to that, so I think that's great. I think the sales growth story is good. You talk about going from 200,000 to 300,000 up to 500,000 for the original location, and I think that is a good story. There was a lot of discussion on property and real estate and some of that. I think that you could just say, look, we're in a transition year. And I think maybe spend more time, I would love to be able to taste and feel the barbecue through the presentation. So maybe get that established first so we can actually taste, the ribs and taste the brisket and actually feel that first before going into, okay, this is a transition year, this is what we're trying to do.
If I'd been at the cafe,
yes,
I'd say for a couple of hours, walked through this room, they'd go, somebody's eating barbecue. I smell barbecue.
Yeah.
And so that is normally my eau de cologne is hickory.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's all I use is hickory, but I also use tea on my tea smoked salmon.
Yep.
That nobody does.
Beautiful.
With me.
Well, and on that note, something to think about. I don't know if you know the Sticky Fingers franchise in the Southeast, but they ended up five or six restaurants, and they had their key success was actually not their barbecue restaurants, but their barbecue sauce. They made more money on barbecue sauce in the Southeast than on the restaurants. So you just mentioned it. Maybe you have some special recipes there. Maybe that could be a significant business for you.
I've got some really, really original recipes, not just the barbecue sauce, but a ginger cilantro sauce that just goes with the tea smoked salmon.
Beautiful.
And people tell me they could eat it on anything, even their toes.
Beautiful.
So,
that's in our product development slide of our next stage that we're moving to.
His sauces.
That's great.
Sauces and,
yeah, that's great. And then you use your smoked barbecue brand around that. I think it's great.
And I qualify you on hot.
It's
When
great.
you come to the cafe and you say, I want hot, I ask you, are you qualified? What do you mean? Well, just take a little sip of this, count to 5, and if you don't start coughing, you're qualified.
All right. Thank
and
you.
then you go to heaven and back without dying with my barbecue.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tina
you,
and Jed.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please leave your comments. There's a feedback link in the, this way. There's a feedback link there in the chat. Please leave your feedback there. Coming up next, we will hear from another company, which would be our final pitch for the day. Please, again, we've heard so far from 6 companies. So please take the opportunity to click that link and leave your feedback or your comments that you feel needs to be passed on as well with our feedback panelists' feedback here. So next up, we will hear from our last and final pitch for today. It will be Don Boguito, who will be taking the stage shortly.
Should I start? Hi, I'm Monica Martinez. I'm the founder and CEO of Don Boguito. At Don Boguito, we feed traditions and we celebrate ancestral food practices. Don Boguito has been one of the first edible insects established in the United States, launched in 2010. If you don't know, 2 billion people around the world eat insects, and they have been eating insects for centuries. Also, 80% of the biomass of the planet is made out of insects. So there is no reason why we should not be tapping in the insect world. As we know, the food system is facing a huge problems right now. Farming conventional proteins, they're not sustainable. That means they use a lot of resources, water, land, they generate pollution, green gases, etc. The list goes on. And contrary, edible insects can offer a more greener and more sustainable way to farm and generate protein foods. Edible insects can be farmed vertically in urban farms. They use less resources, less water, they produce higher protein, omega-3, fiber, very nutritional amount of food, very sustainable. So they're tiny but mighty. So what Don Boguito we are doing, we're developing modular sustainable systems to farm insects. We're targeting population growth. We're working with also climate change. So as the planet gets warmer, it means insects love warm weather, so we will have more insects. We also, Don Boguito, we're using holistic farming practices. We opposing industrial farming practices. So Don Boguito is becoming a vertical integrated company. In 2017, we opened our own farm operations. And by the end of 2019, we yield a quarter of a ton of insects, farm insects. We're hoping to grow to 2023 and be able to farm and yield over 100 tons per year annually. So Don Boguito has right now a line of 7 planet-friendly protein snacks. Our assets of the snacks are whole insects, non-GMO, locally farmed. We don't use any weird-to-pronounce ingredients, so they're really high in protein snacks. So the market value at the moment is $112 million, expected to grow to $1.5 billion with a 40% compound annual growth rate. So Don Boguito is ready to tap into this market and continue being one of the leaders in the United States. So we have a multi-channel strategy. Don Boguito opened the category in retail and wholesale as an edible insect food product. We recently just signed a contract with Kehi, a national distributor, Garden Sport Foods, East Coast distributor. We also selling on the restaurant and catering, right now dormant for COVID, but trying to push the online partnerships and sales, direct sales. Next year, we're planning to open the agricultural business, launching 3 new products, so soil fertilizer, chicken feed, and gourmet pet food. Don Buquito financial growth has been very stable, growing very organically. In 2010, if you think about it, there was no edible insect knowledge in the United States. People didn't know insects were food. We opened the market. By 2014, we pivoted to become a snack package company. By 2016, we came out of the red numbers. And by 2019, we revenue above 100K without any support, any investment, any distribution channels. So we're hoping to project to grow to 1 to 2 million in 2022 with new distribution channels and new agriculture. So Don Buquito has strong supporting partners, strategic supporting partners in the Bay Area. We've been lucky. We've been in every single national press and international press too. Our team is tiny but mighty, just as our insects. We have a very solid team, and we're looking to continue growing and bring more talent into the team. So you want to help us change the world the food system is, and bring more alternative and a little bit more diversity in our food system, just please come talk to us, and we would love to share what are we doing to continue growing. Thank you. Oh, I stayed.
Okay. I don't know why I keep being surprised that I'm Monica, that's awesome. And I've been a fan of Don Buquito I met you a few years ago, and I got a bunch of sample packs and then bought a bunch more, and I have a 7-year-old son, and he loves them. They're great. I love the story. I think it plays well, all the numbers and kind of 80% of the biomass of the world is made of insects, and most of the world consumes insects on a regular basis, and they're a great, very efficient converter of protein for humans. I think all that is really, really great. One thing that stuck out to me, I wonder if maybe you could bring out the presentation a little bit more. So you're going to go from 2019 producing a 1/4 ton of insects to producing 100 tons of insects in 2023 at the same time that the overall market for insect protein is growing from about 100 million now to 1.5 billion by 2026. How much of that growth, or what part of that growth is Don Buquito responsible for, right? Like what obviously, we have the growth numbers, but of the overall market, like how much is being driven by Don Buquito?
So you divide that globally. So those numbers are from globally, like, not only United States.
Yeah.
So I will assume in the market, like my competitors, you call it like, there's maybe only 1 or 2 farms globally. They are covering market mostly for like animal feed. So Don Buquito wants to become also one of the leaders, and we would like to be maybe, 30% of that. If we are able to, we grow, like that's a very, very conservative, number, the 100 tons a year. I mean, obviously, to get to 1,000 tons a year, we would need like 300 million investment, but So hopefully we would like to be continue to be one of the leaders and be at the...
Yeah, and so maybe quantifying that a little more explicitly might be cool. I mean, the multi-channel strategy slide that you had was great and obviously shows a lot of room for growth. I'm wondering if there's one channel in particular that is the most important to you right now, or the most exciting, or that has the most growth potential, or whatever. And maybe that can help drive that narrative of how you quantify how Don Buquito continues to be, one of the big drivers in meeting that 1.5 billion market growth number kind of thing. But it's a great product and beautiful brand, by the way. I love the identity. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Beautiful brand. This is the most innovative thing I've ever seen. This is amazing. And you have a lot of confidence, and you should have confidence with this idea and with the presentation. You should really own it because it's a fantastic idea. talking about the ancestral food practices, the sustainability, talking about the less water and the high protein content. I think all that is really, really powerful message. On the branding side, I love the tiny but mighty. I don't know if there's a way to emphasize that more. I was curious, Don Boguito, where did that name come from? Is there a story behind that?
It is a story behind it. It's like Don is usually used in Mexico for like an older respect
Gentleman.
person.
Yep.
Yeah. And then so Bog, so Don Bog, so the big little guy. Ito is when you do a little tiny thing.
Yeah.
In Spanish you add
Okay,
Ito.
so Don Boguito.
Like the big little guy. So
Okay.
it's the big little guy who's going to change the world.
That's awesome. So that's a great story. That's fantastic. The vertical integration really caught my attention. And you talked about the different means of that, which was great. Maybe as a next step, typically if you vertically integrate, it means your margins are going to improve.
Yeah.
So how do your gross margins, how do your EBITDA margins, how do they improve as a result of that vertical integration? I think that would be great for investors to hear.
To hear.
Yeah. And then, sourcing. I was just curious about sourcing.
So that was one of the challenges why in 2017 we had to open the farm. I mean, I decided we had to open the farm operations.
Okay.
Because sourcing insects, the sourcing insects for human consumption, it was a challenge.
Yeah.
And then nobody was offering. I tried to work with farms that already farming insects for chicken feed, and there were no. They didn't want to offer the quality that that I was looking for.
Right.
Our farm is getting certified for non-organic right now for the soil. Fertilizer, we are getting certified the farm for we are non-GMO,
yep.
And we're looking for the non-organic certification. So we are the highest standard edible insects in the market.
I think that's going to be super important just to build trust with consumers and the brand is to really nail the sourcing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talking about alternative proteins, folks. It'd also be great to hear in the chat. We definitely put some of the chocolate-covered crickets. Monica definitely provided those to the VIP attendees. So I'd love to hear in the chat or in your feedback forums what you thought about the chocolate-covered crickets. Perfect. So let's give a hand again to all 7 of our companies. We thank you for sharing your visions for growth, and we look forward to continuing on your journey with you. To our panel, thank you for joining us and providing the feedback that will truly help each of these companies to propel them to the next level. Diana?
And thank you again to all of our funders, supporters, the co-creators of Creative Genius who produced our event today. Let's give them a giant hand. And thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.